This week, we finally left the coast and we're in Joshua Tree National Park.
Welcome to the Bourbon Van. I'm Phil.
I'm Julie.
And we are in Joshua Tree National Park right now, but we're going to be talking today all about Palm Springs, our favorite sites, the things we ate, the things we drank, and we want to share all of that with you. And we're also going to be talking about a bottle that we got a couple of weeks ago that we've been enjoying. It's Jim Beam's Clermont Steep American Single Malt Whiskey. This is 94 proof, aged for 5 years, and we've had it for a couple of weeks. I've been getting into this one. You can tell.
It's almost gone already.
When we only have 1 or 2 bottles in the van, we tend to focus on those 2 bottles naturally. And what we found in this one has been quite interesting. And I'm excited to do this tasting today and share it with you because if you're just dipping your toe into single malt whiskey, I really think that this is one that you should keep top of mind. All right, so let's get on to the nose. You might see that we're using different glasses today. We're not always drinking out of Glencairns. Sometimes we like a rocks glass, and the Glencairns were dirty and we wanted to get this recorded. So here we are with the rocks glasses.
I had a little coffee and caramel.
I agree with that completely. I think that this is such an easy to like nose. It's approachable. It doesn't have a heavy Jim Beam funk on it. So if all you know about Jim Beam is their bourbon and you're wondering, does it have that really strong Jim Beam, what we call funk? It doesn't. I think that there's a very approachable whiskey on the nose. Are you ready for a taste?
I am.
Cheers.
Cheers. There's a little bit of licorice, there's a little bit of mint on this, things that I wouldn't necessarily expect from a single malt.
Yeah, or from a Jim Beam product.
Or from a Jim Beam product.
I like the caramel here. I like the coffee note that continues through onto the palate. There is a fruit, but it's kind of hard to pin down. And the barley itself, it definitely has a beer-like quality to it. I've been pairing it with beer. I can tell you I enjoy it that way. It definitely stands up nicely to a beer. That 94 proof, easy sipping on the tongue. It's not overly spicy. It's not really that spicy at all, I don't think. It really transitions from that caramel, coffee, tobacco into something sweet on the back end of it. And I'm thinking, like, you ever had those packets of sugar in the raw?
Yes.
That brownish sort of sugar cane, I guess. I think that this is more of a natural sugar flavor. You don't get that on a lot of whiskeys.
There's also an earthy, almost like green leafy kind of flavor here. It's a little bit not vegetal, but kind of along those lines.
It is, yeah, I would agree with that completely. I think earthy is a great way to put it on this whiskey. It is not going to hit you over the head with that sweetness. Even the sugar, like I said, it's a raw sugar. It's a natural sugar. There's something very overall earthy and natural tasting about this whiskey. That probably sounds insane, but I really think that it's a special whiskey for those tasting notes. It's just so unusual and approachable. And on the finish, it really does stick around. It's almost cloying with that natural sugar. If I had to give it a knock, it would be that the finish maybe is a little bit too sweet. In my opinion, this one is very satisfying. At 94 proof, you're not expecting that maybe, but this one really hits the mark for me. What do you think?
So I had to double check that this was a single malt because it doesn't remind me of any single malt that I've ever had. And I will stand by that. It doesn't really taste like a Jim Beam product. Like Jim Beam bourbons have a very familiar taste to them. There's some nuttiness in there, a little bit of funkiness that you can get. This doesn't taste anything like that. And I also would be fooled that this was a single malt.
Yeah, this one reminds me a lot of some of the craft single malts we've had out there. It is really interesting. Every time you have a single malt, it seems like that terroir and who the distiller is really plays so much into it. We're really enjoying our American single malt journey. And a whiskey like this is a great introduction. I think it's probably widely available. I'm not going to say readily available, but because Jim Beam produces it, you would think it would be out there. And if you haven't dipped your toes or your tongue into the American single malt whiskey just yet, I think that this is a good place to start, even if you don't really care for Jim Beam products. I will say this, there's just enough of a hint of that Jim Beam flavor at the tail end of the palate.
Yep.
It's almost like when you hear a song and it reminds you of another song, and so immediately you like that song. I think that maybe that familiarity is happening here, and that's one reason I like this whiskey so much. But we got this one for about $70. I believe MSRP is around $60. I don't know for sure. But for this whiskey, I think that I would buy it again. I'm not going to buy it again while we're on the road, but once we get home, I could see putting a bottle of this on the shelf. It's just so palatable, so satisfying, easy sipping, pairs great with a beer, which is one of my favorite things to do in the entire world. I think that this is a very good whiskey, and I think it is worth a try.
And I'm just going to take a few glasses of your new bottle along the way and call it good.
That seems fair. So for me, this is a definite buy. For Julie, it is a little bit of a buy, maybe a why. Definitely try it at a bar if you're on the fence about Jim Beam products or American Single Malt Whiskey in general. But I think that this is a very tasty whiskey.
So if you're done fawning over this whiskey, do you want to talk Palm Springs?
We had a great time in Palm Springs.
Such a good time.
And we were there only a short time, just a couple of days, couple of nights. And so everything that we're going to show you that we did could have been done in a single day.
True. We did do a lot of walking. We didn't take the van out at all in Palm Springs.
We walked more than 10 miles on the first day that we were there. You don't have to do that to see all the things that we saw. So let's just go in the order that we saw things in. Because making a list would be kind of difficult, and I don't feel like doing anything difficult today. By the way, you're wearing the same shirt as me.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I thought, like, I'm going to change and spruce it up a little bit today. It came out, and I was like, matchy-matchy.
We are the biggest nerds ever. Well, anyways, let's talk about Palm Springs. On our walk on day one, the first thing that we wanted to see was the Forever Marilyn statue. The oversized, gigantic Marilyn Monroe that they have over there. And honestly, it didn't disappoint.
It didn't. It's kitschy and silly, and I loved every minute of it. And it wasn't crowded when we were there. There was just a couple people, so we got some photos. We just kind of snuck right in, snuck right out, and you just check it off the list. There's not much to see there, just the statue.
Just the statue, yeah. It wasn't a big deal. I think there was a museum right there, which of course we didn't go into because we were busy wandering aimlessly. But it was very cool. It's really the first time this year that I've seen you blush.
I didn't realize in the back, like, woo!
Well, it's all
behind view.
yeah, it's some kind of show. But very nearby that is the Lucille Ball bronze statue.
Oh, I forgot about that, actually.
You sat there, had a nice chat with Lucy. Anything you want to share? What did you talk about?
Those are all trade secrets. You got to go and chat with her yourself.
They're very clever. Okay, well, Julie will keep her secrets. From there, we had already walked quite a ways from the hotel that we were staying in, and that's why we had a hotel there, because we left the cat in the hotel while we went wandering. We felt a lot safer about having her in a secure location. And so the next thing we did, we were getting hungry.
Yes.
Your brother sent us a recommendation.
Yes, Sherman's Deli. It's a New York-style deli, and he said if you only do one thing there, you have to eat at this restaurant. He might not have said that, but he said you have to go. It's the best deli, and that, again, did not disappoint. It was the most ginormous deli sandwich.
This really was a great sandwich shop, and they've got all kinds of desserts and all other things if you have an appetite for that after their gigantic sandwiches. You got pastrami, I got corned beef. It was just so delicious.
You did say mine was better, though.
Well, you know what?
Go with the pastrami.
I was out-ordered. Go with the pastrami. I should have known better. I'm just a corned beef fanatic. Those sandwiches were fantastic.
Yeah.
The people there were fantastic. There's all the old signatures on the wall with the photos. Keely Smith.
I know, you love Keely Smith.
I do love Keely Smith, and her portrait and her little signature were right next to us. I thought that was so cool.
It's just an old school place. I think it's been around since the 30s, right?
I'm not going to go back into
30s or the 50s. I don't know.
It goes back in time. It feels like a step back in time. And the sandwiches are fantastic. There's not much more I can say.
Yeah, you should just have lunch there, and then you won't need dinner.
Go to Sherman's and eat, and then it's not that far of a walk, and you will want to walk afterwards because you're going to be feeling a little bit lethargic. A little walk does you some good. We went to go see the Two Palms, I think that's what it was called, Two Palms home of Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this. I'm not going to say it was disappointing, but it was a bit disappointing because I think somebody actually lives there. So there's just a plaque outside that says it was Frank's house. You can kind of see why he picked the location. It was stunning. Like the mountains in the background. It was just gorgeous, but you couldn't really see it. I was kind of hoping to like get a sneak peek at like the cool pool, and you could picture like him and all the Rat Pack or whatever hanging out, but alas.
I don't know. I think they did a great job of building a wall around it so you can't see anything. It was very cool, though. We're Sinatra fans, and it was just a cool thing to stand in a place where he might have once stood.
Agreed.
I enjoyed that very much. And after that, all that walking, all that eating, and all that walking again. Thirsty. We wound up at Tonga Hut Tiki Bar. And I don't even remember what we got. I think I got a painkiller, and you got...
I got a pina colada, which is funny because you're the pina colada person. It just sounded good that day.
And you out-ordered me again. Those drinks were both very, very
Yeah.
good. Tonga Hut knows what they're doing. And you found something cool there that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, so there's a speakeasy that does, I don't know if it's nightly or maybe just on the weekends, but Hemingway readings while you're in this like dark and danky little back room. And it was just a really neat place. It felt like we're in Palm Springs. You got to have something tropical to drink, and it was fun.
I wouldn't say danky. I would say cozy.
Cozy,
I felt
that's
very
better.
cozy there.
Yeah.
Very cool. So Julie discovered the speakeasy, and of course we're Hemingway fans as well. A lot of things that we're fans of in the Palm Springs area
Yeah.
that were just kind of showing up and surprising us. And there was one last thing that we did there that we want to show you, because we did go swimming in the pool and drink the margaritas and all the other things that you do there. But it was this fantastic, surprising, beautiful place that we went to, and it was a run that turned into a hike that turned back into a run at one point.
Turned into bouldering.
It was all kinds of things. You kind of have to see it to believe it, and here it comes.
We are here at Indian Canyons, Palm Springs. We're gonna go explore a trail or two. We're not exactly sure what we're gonna do, how much mileage we're gonna get in today, but it should be a fun day. It's pretty warm today, so we have lots of fluids, lots of snacks, so we'll be prepared for whatever mileage we decide to do today. Trail.
Well, once again, as it usually is for us, a run becomes more of a hike.
We just don't know this terrain very well, and this one was pretty epic either way.
Yeah, this was great. We expected, I don't know what we expected, but just a couple of miles in, it said there was a waterfall, and we're like, come on, there's not going to be waterfall. There were actually a bunch of little waterfalls.
Yeah, a ton. And a lot of water crossings, bouldering. It is a moderate trail, and it lived up to every bit of that moderate designation.
Yeah, this was not an easy trail, so expect to spend a little time here. Bring your trekking poles. We should have done that. But it costs $12 per adult to get in. At least that's the price right now in February of 2024. Was that worth it to you?
Totally worth it. And there's a ton of trails in there. I know there's a palm canyon that's supposed to be amazing. There were palm trees on this trail, which I wasn't really expecting. I thought it was just going to be waterfalls. I should have. We're in the desert. It's Palm Springs. Should expect those palm trees. But it was just a really lovely, kind of difficult but fun hike.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and the water crossings really were refreshing. We're wearing sandals now because we got plenty wet on this trail. The waterfall at the end,
right.
There was a tree growing up right in front of it that was blooming. Really hard to see around it. So we held up our Insta360 camera to see if we could get it. I don't know. We have to check the footage to see if we got any footage of the actual 12-foot waterfall. It sounded great, though.
And you know what? Just because we didn't see that didn't mean the hike's not worth it. It was really beautiful. The palm trees, the water crossings were fun. We skipped the rocks and just went right through the stream. It was great.
Really, really fun day. Highly recommend this
Yeah.
hike. If you come to Palm Springs, absolutely worth the price of admission.
There's just so much to like in Palm Springs. We can't wait to come back
From wherever we are.
to wherever you are.
Cheers.
Cheers. Join us next week for all things Joshua Tree National Park, and we're going to taste Brothers Bond Bourbon.